it's just pure observation. You watched it happen, you observed, you made changes, and then you applied that again. And what I'm getting at here is a lot of these people, these potential customers, basically saw themselves with your product or with what the dream outcome or what
Yes.
they were getting. So they saw their
Yes.
life with that. But you
Yes.
basically showed that by placing cars in the car park, or the right cars in the right car park at the right time, which is really
Yes.
interesting. So,
Exactly.
and this is, I imagine, applicable to all businesses and all businesses in terms of what they're selling, but it might take different shapes and forms. So what would you say, or how do you teach people to recognize this with what they're selling, and so they can apply the same kind of thing?
Well, the first thing is, and this is a thing that a lot of businesses don't consider. So a lot of business, let's say you're in the tech business or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We should use that as an example.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the tech business come up with ideas which are solutions to problems that they had, right? They couldn't get their computer to do A, B, and C, so they made a program to do it. Now they want to sell that. So they believe that this program, if they needed it, couldn't get it, somebody else needs it and can't get it, so they may as well offer it out to the world. But because they are in that industry and they understand the coding language and the computer language that goes with it, and they also think that because they had this problem, everybody else should understand this problem. So they talk about it in the technical way. And what happens? No one else sees themselves with the same problem, or no one else understands how this product or service is going to fix their problem. And what a lot of people don't realize is it's never the product or the service that sells itself. What happens is, and write this down, guys, because this will do you for life, right? The greatest tool anybody can have to help them sell is their customer's imagination. So if the customer can imagine themselves in a situation, or like we did with the car park, right? And they can imagine themselves living with it, they're going to, and they like what they see. Now, it doesn't always happen that they like what they see, right? They can get it wrong, but as long as you help them see it in their imagination, they can make an informed decision, yes or no. And that makes it much easier to sell if they're the right customer. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And a lot of people who own businesses, the reason they find this difficult is they're so immersed in the product or service themselves and the delivering of the product or service themselves, it's very hard for them to step outside themselves and see the product or service as other people see it. And that's, I suppose, where people like me come into the mix, is we can go in and see it from the outside, from the customer side of things, and look and say, okay, is that attractive to people outside of this company? And if it is, great, but how do we dress it up to help people see how attractive it is? And if it's been presented in a way that it's not attractive to the outside world, well, what do we need to dress it up in to make it attractive to the outside world? And I know that kind of sounds very simple, but technically it actually is. But the most important thing is, and this is another bit, again, to remember is, you go to networking and you see people and you say, what do you do? And they tell you they're an accountant or they're whatever, right? And you say, and who's your ideal customer? And they say, oh, anybody that needs accounts done. Somebody who needs accounts done. And this is the problem. When you say to people, I need somebody or I need anybody, what do you invariably end up with?
Nobody.
Yeah. Right? And I'm going to show you how this works in your own brain, right? Just show you how it works. Let's say I got this delivered from Amazon today, right? What that is a little round magnet that goes in the vent above the radio in my car. There's a little thing on the back that sticks to the back of my phone. And when I get in the car, I can literally throw the phone at this magnet and it will hold it in place where I can see it if it rings or anything like that. And it stops it falling around the place in the car and all that kind of thing, right? Now, so that's there, and I could go out and I could, what would you say? I could just search by phone holder, phone holder, phone holder. Anybody want a phone holder? Do you know, right? Anybody want a phone holder? And everybody, our brain doesn't like to do work. So the default when you say is, do you know anybody that needs a phone holder? What did they do? They look at you and they go, oh, I didn't know. And what do they say? I'll think about that. I'll get in touch with you. Yeah, I'll give you a shout next week. I'll have a think about that. And do they ever give you a shout next week and say they've thought about it?
Probably not.
Never, right? So let's ask the question slightly differently. So now we remember that this stops the phone from sliding around and being, you don't have to pick it up and it's all there. It's very easy. Now, let's say I turned around to you and I said, Aaron, quick one. What one person can you think of right now that really badly needs this? And straight away you thought of someone, didn't you? Right? Yeah. Immediately you knew exactly. You with me? And that is knowing who the ideal customer is for it and knowing how to ask. Because when we talk to the brain in that way, we say, what one person can you think of right now? What does your brain do? It follows an instruction. See, so in exactly the same way as that, we need to know, every business needs to know who is the one person that needs their product today. And how do we need to talk to them to make them realize they need our product today? And if you haven't got those two questions answered, what do you think is going to happen?
I reckon it would be rather difficult to sell.
Yeah. Maybe impossible.
Yeah. Maybe impossible, right?